I've not seen this, so we're watching this together as friends on the internet.
Next, some payment processor updates. Odysee has said that they are dropping Stripe because Stripe mandated to them that they would remove certain people from their platform or they would be debanked. Odysee is, I assume, just so small now and doesn't really process enough funds to like keep itself solvent anyways. They can just be like, okay, well, we're going to drop you instead. I proposed to them over Zitter that they should look into e-checks, and I'm also looking into e-checks. Old is new, and I've noticed that the ability to pay with check on websites is increasing. I've noticed that Walmart offers e-check as a way to pay on their mobile site. Amazon has offered e-check as a way to pay. It seems like all these companies that are starting to have to pull their purse strings a little bit tighter are looking at e-checks and the relative inexpensiveness of them, because credit cards charge like 3.5 as a base percentage, not including payment gateway fees. So Amazon and Walmart lose like 5% of everything they sell, and half of all transactions in the US are over card networks. So they're losing a lot of money to these payment processors that they don't have to lose, that they can find another alternative. And e-checks are cheaper. So it seems like we're looking away from payment processors, which is great. I have encouraged them to look into it. Apparently, e-checks have been around for a while as a way to bypass match blacklists and stuff. But on that note, as I had a brief issue getting an account with Bofa, and then Hardin talked to him and managed to get one set up. But Trump did this almost immediately after I had issues with Bank of America.
Wait, and by the way, speaking of you, and you've done a fantastic job, but I hope you start opening your bank to conservatives, because many conservatives complain that the banks are not allowing them to do business within the bank, and that included a place called Bank of America. They don't take conservative business. And I don't know if the regulators mandated that because of Biden or what, but you and Jamie and everybody, I hope you're going to open your banks to conservatives, because what you're doing is wrong.
If Donald Trump does something where Stripe and MasterCard and Visa, Discover, Amex have to open their doors to everybody, I will literally use the first money that I get from that to buy like an AR-10, and I'll buy like Punisher camo, and I will consider myself a MAGA soldier. I will consider myself the most loyal soldier of Donald J. Trump's army. Personally, I will lead it. Okay, that's where we're going with this. I'm more optimistic than I have ever been. Yeah. I've had a bank. Here's the issue. I have had issues with banks and stuff in the past. Old Glory Bank is awesome. They've given Kiwi Farms a bank account. They've given that the internet a bank account. But Old Glory Bank is like a small regional bank in Oklahoma that does your e-banking, basically. They don't have any way of doing payment processing. And even if they did, it would still go through MasterCard, Visa, Discover, Amex. People have to separate this. Debanking is not just an actual physical brick and mortar bank. It's MasterCard, Amex, Visa, Discover. These are the enemies. Stripe is a payment gateway. See, and here's the really crazy thing is that back in the day, there's three parts to a credit card swipe. You have the payment gateway, the payment network, and then, payment processor. The payment processor, and these used to be three different companies. So the payment processor would handle like your API, like the actual website or e-reader part, and then send it off to a gateway, which was a different company, that then sent it off to the payment networks, which were four different companies. And the gateway did the API between the networks and the actual processor, which just handled your customer side. These days, that line is very blurred. You have there's no distinction between a payment gateway and a payment processor anymore. They're almost always the same company. For instance, Stripe is a payment processor and payment gateway. Square also, basically all of them. But now the line is even blurrier, because if you look at Authorize.net, Authorize.net was a payment gateway where you had to get a processor earlier in the day. And then they also became a payment processor, so you didn't need a payment processor to work with Authorize. And then they got bought directly by Visa. So Visa owns, and with Authorize.net, the payment processor, the payment gateway, and then also the integration into its own company, and then the three other main networks. So with Authorize.net, it's effectively this setup they designed to try and make it so they weren't a monopoly has completely fallen to the wayside as people stop paying attention. It's not. It's really not that difficult. Here, hold up. Actually, I don't feel like drawing it. Just know. This is all you have to know. The words payment processor, payment gateway, and especially payment network are evil. Any company called those things are evil, but the most evil are the payment networks. MasterCard, Visa, Discover, Amex. Pure fucking evil. I literally believe that we should arrest everybody involved in the payment networks. I don't give a fuck how many millions of people work for those companies. They all need to be processed and determine their level of culpability and ruining absolutely fucking everything for everyone for all time. Every single person, without exaggeration. I don't care if you mop the floors. I don't care if you're abuela with her vacuum vacuuming MasterCard CEO's office in their main HQ. Everyone needs to have a loyalty check to see if they are a soulless cosmopolitan banker that's fucking over everybody because they're evil, or if they're an actual human being with a heart and soul. Use Union Pay. You still have to go through a payment gateway. See, this is the thing. It's like, maybe, like, let's say that, let's make a joke and say that Union Pay is a payment network, which is Chinese, if you don't know. It's their payment network processor. Let's say that Union Pay was super based. You still have to get a payment processor and a payment gateway, and they're all held liable to all standards. So if Discover says that you can't do business with the Kiwi Farms, and Discover has a 5% market share, it does not matter where you go, you will not find a payment network to get onto. Nobody will take you. So they're individually and mutually liable for each other's evils. There's no point saying, well, Discover's the bad one. Actually, Visa Card's the bad one. Individually and mutually liable for each other's evil. Nobody tried to fix this. They're in like this little soup where they could have done things. They could have talked to each other to be like, hey, maybe we shouldn't be so fucking evil. People are starting to notice. They stayed evil to the bitter fucking end. Not one of them should be spared the hand of justice. Every single one of them should be held accountable. That's stupid.